Wonderful. So without further ado, I'd like to bring up the amazing Oluwasayo Elumaro, who will be speaking to us today on key lessons in her career journey. By the way, she's a partner at Ernst & Young, so please celebrate her.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. As introduced, my name is Sayo Elumaro, and it's a great honor to be here. And first, I want to say a big thank you to Olayinka for having me and to all these very wonderful speakers. And when you now have like 4 incredible speakers that have spoken before you, you just come and say the grace. Then we close the section, everybody have a nice lunch, and you're on your way out. But regardless, I've been tasked to share with us key lessons from my own career journey. And as it's been said, is my story. So I'm trying to own my own story, and I will tell it my way. So initially, I didn't want to be an accountant. And I don't also intend to bore you with this story. It's just to bring out the impact and the learning in it. But at some point, I wanted to be a doctor. Largely because I feel, I like to help people, help life. And primarily because my mom was quite asthmatic, so she visited the hospital a lot. So I wanted something that would just, to be of help in a way. And along the line, I started going to school like every other person did and all that. So along the line, I also got ill. And I was on admission for a long time. So I didn't like the smell of the hospital, the sight of blood. Apologies to the medical people, you're doing a very fantastic job. But it's just not the calling of some of us. I didn't really like that, and I began to think, that began to shape my career perspective, even at a very tender age, just 9 or 10 at the time. And I said, this thing cannot be for me. You just see somebody just vomit, I'm like, let me borrow from Femi. Femi used a lot of Yoruba language, so there's a pass. So I'm just tailgating on that pass now. So I'm somebody that you almost say onirira, like you get irritated easily. So I'm like, this one cannot be for me. So in my head, I started shopping for an alternative career, even that one that I had not started. So along the line, I went, on holiday with one of my uncle. He used to work with Coopers and Library. He was staying at Surulere at the time. So the elders are already nodding. We know them. All right, so Coopers and Library is one of the firms that eventually merged to form the new PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers. So you just see, he was living a comfortable life. He's so discreet. It's just the discipline, how he would have his, his outfit well-tailored, well-ironed. I'm like, this is just looking very classy. Maybe it's the kind of profession that I want to do, but not so much thought was given to it at the time, because most of the time, the wife would come in, they would just this, what about client saying, what about that, your client, blah, 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 blah. So you just have those kind of random gist. You hear them, you giggle, and you are hearing different stories. So I think I didn't realize that a seed has been sown, and attraction was already there for me to be in public practice. Then, maybe about 4 or 5 years down the line, other things also was influencing me at the same time. So it was also the media, even though in our own time, TV didn't start until 4. But I like broadcasting. I like the fact that you see on TV the likes of Ruth Benemisia, Opia, Bimbo Roberts, Siri Stoba, so many of them like that. So I felt, maybe it would be mass comm. So I went straight when we were specializing. I went into arts class. I loved literature and all that, so we're doing all of that. Why am I sharing this story? In the long run, I came for another holiday with my uncle, maybe another 4 years down the line. They had moved to Gudu. And it was just, he had not called me to sit me down to share stories about his profession, but indirectly was making a very significant influence on my life. I just saw that there was growth, it was providing solutions. It's still this gist around, clients, what he's doing today, what he's doing next. And I'm like, I want to just be like that. But to me, it was looking like it was late because I didn't even also know at the time. And by the time eventually I was specializing, so I have an elder sister that was a year ahead of me. So she got the JAM form first, and then it used to be a booklet. So there will be a combination of courses that can land you in a particular thing to study while you go to the university. So she just randomly finished filling and dropped, that booklet. So I just picked it. And I went straight to accounting. I'm like, what combination do they even study? Because in my head, you just have to have done financial accounting to be able to be an accountant. And I just saw him there. Economics and government. I'm doing economics, I'm doing government, I'm doing literature, but I know these two will get me on that track. I said, okay. And then you used to have counselors in school to advise you about courses, blah, blah, blah. He said, yes, but you are good in literature. Why do you want to do that? I'm like, I think I'm finding another passion for this. And I'm a numbers person because I like maths, even though I didn't do, what is it called? I didn't do financial accounting in school. So that was where the journey started. So let's go back to the reason why I'm sharing that. Is the fact that somebody else's, your own career outlook has been influenced by somebody. But you do not know, and you will always, and I say it very intentionally, you will always underestimate who your own career journey is impacting. I've never met any of the broadcasters. I could have ended up as one. My uncle has never sat me down to tutor me to say this is the way to go about it. Yet he had that level of significant influence on me. At a point I thought I was going to be a doctor. It was an influence coming from my mom. So as you build your careers, bear that in mind. The way you show up, is influencing somebody directly or indirectly. And somebody else may be making a life-changing decision just by looking at you. So a lot of things have been shared in this room, and in fact, it's almost like everybody picked from my notes. And I should be asking Olayinka, what did you do to my note? Did you circulate it and make it public? Because almost everybody said one thing or the other that I had noted down. So bear that in mind. And when we are also building career, there's a scripture saying that says, do not belittle the days of little beginning. So you have begun in a way. And all of these conversations that we are having in this room is to shaping that career journey, to make it more concrete, to make your foundation more solid. And for people that have already built, perhaps you're also looking at reinforcement, new trajectories, bear that in mind. So I started out. And I went to school, did financial accounting. And, first of all, I did HND before I did BSc. So I went to Lagos State Polytechnic. I had my ND there. Then I did internship with the firm. That was my first experience with EY. And I was, it's something I loved. I love numbers. I love meetings. So this is now like the aha moment that, me too, I'm now meeting a client. My uncle used to tell stories to his wife around, this client, that client. I'm not saying go and share clients' confidential information, no. But, it's not like that moment that, this is now my client. So the passion for the job, is different. It's like something that you had always waited and longed for. And it's now finally, and the dynamics of also having to serve several clients over industries also helped. Then I went back to school, came back during service year. So during my service year, I served with a firm in Lagos that is called C.L.E.A.N At the time, the firm was very popular for tax generation, so they call it ARGP, Accelerated Revenue Generation Program. The people they put in that unit to do proposals are largely the people like, you don't want to take them out to meet clients, so you just sit in and be doing proposals. So when I came, not necessarily because they wanted to put me there because I made a distinction, like Tosin, I also had some bragging rights and all that. But it wasn't about that. It was also the pressure of what they had at the time. So many states were now calling them to come and do ARGP for them. So they needed, indeed, more hands. But when I got there, I was like, how are people writing like this? Especially because I write too. So, you know, that attention for details, that spirit of excellence could not just let me say, oh, they will just tell you, this is a standard template. Copy whatever it is, change the name of the state. And I started proofreading, you know, those things, started indexing, you know, you're particular about you cannot write a state with small letter, you know, you're just bringing those values to the table. And all through my period there, I did not do one audit. Not because they don't want me on the field, but they now felt, this is that special strength that was said earlier that this person has, and it's bringing a lot of value to the engagement. But when I utilized that skill the more, at the time it wasn't paying off because you were a copper anyway. But the experience counted years later down the line. There was then an opportunity whereby we had the first MAFA in the insurance sector. And I had a partner there that, okay, we're doing good, the business is fine, you know, it's not so bothered. The proposals that we get, RFP, we would do it. Then I called my team, then I was a senior manager. I called somebody who had also jackpot now, and I said, let's work on issuing out unsolicited proposals. He said, would we just go there, knock on their door? I said, it doesn't matter. We have dispatch riders that will do it. What did we start to do? We first did a dashboard. We gave it a very fancy name. Look at the names of the ones that are rotating out, whose auditors are due to rotate and stuff like that. And we started reeling out proposals. I think that was the first major shift of visibility for me. And people started noticing, oh, this person likes to do proposal, they like to do marketing thing, they like, you know, they can engage with clients and all that. And because a lot of people, lots of other firms also were not paying attention to that sector because really they weren't paying so much at the time, you know. But by the time we finished that first round, it gave us a milestone that, you know, it was just like a first mover's advantage, and we took on the market. So why am I sharing that? A lot of the time you are currently in roles that you are undermining, and you think this role is not as important. How much are they paying me, Seth? The very day that you give the value of what you're paid for, you have not robbed your employer, you have robbed yourself. You have robbed yourself of the experience, you have robbed yourself of the skill set, you have robbed yourself of so many things that you had opportunities to learn, but that you did not learn because you were too money conscious. By the time you get the right skills, the payments will catch up with it. The values will catch up with it. Because at some point in time, it is not the skills that, you know, it is not the people that you were in the trenches with, trying to help come out of wherever they are at, that is going to pay the right fee for the skills that you have acquired. And nobody is going to ask you where you acquired the skills, whether it was a volunteering job. See how much thank yous the volunteers got today. And whether you like it or not, beyond the thank yous, they had learned quite a number of things. It may be it's teaming, maybe it's communication, maybe it's how to put out invite, maybe it's how to do be better protocol officers. Whatever that is, you cannot trade it for money. The right time will come that there will be premium that will be paid on that skill set. Then I went to, so as I was wrapping up, there was an advert. So usually we'll look at the papers, you see if there are expression of interest, because most times government will call their own offers expression of interest. So, I was one of the people busy looking for that in the papers. And that was how I ran into advert by the then National Bank. I'm not sure so many people know National Bank in this room. Okay, National Bank was a bank that merged with Wema Bank in 2005. So the then National Bank, they were placing adverts and they were looking for, we call them BAs, banking analysts. So it's more like maybe entry level. I said, this is a good role, and I applied. And from there, they took me on and all that, even though the pay was good, but there was no satisfaction. And that is what, at any point in time, you need to ask yourself, what is my why? Why am I even here? You need to be able to define where you want to be. JB was telling us that he just wants to be leading a listed entity. So what is your why? What is your why? You should be able to answer that question and all that. Eventually, when I was leaving National Bank for EY, I was living at a salary cut too, because the banks were paying much higher than what a professional firm would pay. But I know that there was no job satisfaction. I wasn't fulfilling, I wasn't just fulfilled in that role. And that is why it is also important that at any point in time, you know what is bringing that fulfillment to you. It's not all the time that it would be money. But really, almost always, money catches up with it. Why? Because you would have been very passionate about doing what you love to do. All right, so I'll just talk about these 10 key lessons, and we'll be out of here. So for me, in fact, almost all the speakers, in their own different ways, whether you say it's the God factor, whether you say it's divine providence, you cannot wish away the God factor. As a matter of fact, when I was doing this, I was like, am I over-spiritualizing this? But really, we are first spiritual beings before we are, physical beings. So we cannot wish away the God factor. At any point in time, and this is also not, irrespective of your religion, we all believe that there is a God somewhere. So whichever way you assess that God, hold him there. And you also infuse whatever it is, is leading you into the career that you're building. That is also, that is a factor that is very important, especially because you will get to those difficult times within your careers. I'm not sure if anybody ever escaped a difficult phase in their career where they are confused as to what to do. So it is that divinity that will give you this direction that you need to follow. So pay attention to that. The second one is that passion, the driving force of passion. The driving force of passion is very important because it transforms your work. You are no longer now seeing your work as just a routine task. You are attaching meaning to it because something is driving you. Something lubricates the fuel of your journey. It lubricates the wheel of your journey. It makes it a lot more seamless. And something is also fueling it. It's bringing the energy. So sometimes your work is indeed stressful. You're going through all of those stress. But you are still looking at it from the perspective of, I love what I'm doing. And continue to also reassess, am I in the right place? Should this be what I'm pursuing as of now? Femi has told us about how things are going to be transforming, and all that. And you also begin to challenge yourself and your thought process and say, is this why still a why that I'm still living for? Or is it something else that I should be looking at? And it doesn't also mean that we join the bandwagon and start jumping, oh, my friend has now moved to fintech, or they are in oil and gas, or they have jackpot. Everybody's just jackpotting. Permit that. And I'm following. Why are you here? Why are you here? You also need to be able to answer that. The next one is talking about lifelong learning and personal development. There is just no way you can be the best at whatever it is that you do when you are not a lifelong learner. We have just been told that in less than 6 months, the full cycle that we should have taken about 5 years is shortening. 6 to 4 years is shortening and all that. So you have to be learning. You have to know what is happening in your industry, what is relevant for your growth, and also ruthlessly search for them. That is very important. And sometimes it may also be additional certification and skills. So it should not also be so much of the certification than the skill. Because sometimes you go for interviews, people get in your face, they tell you they have a first class and they cannot even articulate or defend that result. So you should be, your skills should actually match whatever it is that you are bringing to the table. Then you also need to do a gap analysis of your technical skills and your soft skills. Olayinka has told us things around visibility, influence. Those are some of the things that would also enhance your personal skill, your soft skill. Technical skills is also knowing what you know and doing it to the best of your ability. Then the next one is talking to us about grit. The power of resilience. The power of resilience. And why is that important? Because you would always get to those phases that are challenging, discouraging. It's your staying power. It's that ability to successfully continue to adapt, irrespective of the challenges and all that. And that also does not mean that when you think that you have outgrown a space, you continue to force yourself into that mode. Then have a solution mindset. That is very important. Stop brooding over problems. You have not been employed to start talking about the problems. You've been employed to start, creating solutions. And sometimes it's not even underemployment alone. Even as an entrepreneur or entrepreneur, you also have to be solving a problem. Otherwise, you won't be needed where you're at. Then leverage on your support system. Support system is so profound. You cannot wish that away in any career. Well, just any career at all. So friends and family, spouses, siblings, friends, nanny, outsource the things that what money can do for you. Outsource it. Don't say you are the one that has to do your laundries by yourself, cook food, drive, drop children off at daycare and all that. You begin to do a cost and, benefit analysis of your time. So the cost of doing this thing by myself and the benefits of doing other things, opportunity cost, just weigh it on a scale. And if you can afford it, please do. And don't guilt trip yourself. I think that's especially for mothers. You just feel like, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. These children are not having enough of me. Please don't guilt trip yourself. And that does not also excuse the fact that we should be there for our words. Then, collaborate with your team and your bosses. They also is also very important. It's a good kind of support system that you would always need. Then technology is also here. You have planners, you have calendars, you have diaries, you have AI. Optimize the use. Optimize the use. I'm trying to rush. I have a few minutes left. Then, very importantly, you need to drive your career by yourself. Nobody should sit or man the seat of your career. It's an aberration. Otherwise, they just carry you go where you don't know. So if you know where you are going, take the driver's seat. You don't necessarily need to know how to drive a car. But your career, you must be the one manning, that driver's seat. And what does that mean for you? You are defining what you want out of your career. It must be explicit. Write the vision. Don't think it in your head. Make it plain. Write it out. What do you want to do? At what time do I want to do it? When do I want to do it? How do I want to do it? You answer those questions. Otherwise, it's not a plan. It will just be a wish. It's just a desire. Then when you are done doing that, bounce it off people. We've talked so much about mentors here, about coaches, about sponsors. Bounce it off people. Just double check your thought pattern. Let others bring their perspective to it. It makes your goals more robust, more realistic, and you also make it well-rounded because you're now getting other views, then begin to work on it. You can't dream and want the dreams to be a reality and you go back to sleep. You have to be grinding. Then periodically also review it. It doesn't have to be that, oh, this is what I want to do and it's cast in stone. No. There are many things, many turns, many curves, but you keep going and you keep still focusing on where you're going. We've talked about mentors in this room, so I don't know you. Okay, I think I can just share one or two words on that. So mentors are there to give you advice. And it's not all your mentors that are physical. Sometimes you are gleaning from other people's books, other people's works, and all that. So mentors are usually behind the scene, even though sometimes you have to physically meet with them. Then coaches are the people that have been on a particular path. They have been there, seen it. They can train you how they did it. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're dropping your unique attributes to pick up theirs, but it's just that you see, you can visualize how they have done it, and your own unique way have an adaptation to what you are doing. Then sponsors are the people, leaders in your organization, that can speak for you in the room when you are not there, that can mention you, mention your name, push up your agenda. That is also very important. Then be confident and live authentically. Be very confident and live authentically. To yourself, be true. You don't need to want to be like anybody or copy anybody. We can learn from people. But it's not as though that you then abandon who you are at your core, and I begin to live other people's life. Then your confidence is also not the same thing as being arrogant. Confidence is knowing what you know. Sometimes it's also a thin line between the two. But what we are encouraging these days, is for you to be confident in yourself. No, and honestly, you cannot also be confident without being competent. Competency talks to confidence. Because when you don't know something, you already are shrinking. I hope I will not make mistakes. This presentation they gave to me, I don't know it, so why am I the one that they called? If they called you, they have seen something in you. If they invite you to the table, you belong to the table. Don't dim your own light. Don't excuse yourself out of it. In fact, do it afraid. As they are calling you, can you do it? The answer is yes. How we will do it, we will all come back and figure it out. And by the time you're done, everybody is wondering, oh, we made the right decision. So why is it that you are the last person to give yourself the acknowledgement that you can? And a lot of the time, people see potentials in us that we don't even see. But just take it. Well, if they bring it to you, take it on. Volunteers. And it's not all jobs that has to be paid for. A lot of the time, people will tell me that they're looking for jobs. So in the meantime, what are you doing? I'm looking for a job. You just said you're looking for a job. I heard that. So in the meantime, what are you doing? They are still looking for a job. There are opportunities in their churches, maybe to volunteer as accountants or do this, or planning committee or stuff, because one way or the other, you are learning something. And by the time the skills will come, it would just come out involuntarily. Sometimes you just wonder, where did that come from? And it's from doing all of these things that you believe are not paid for. But you're paying yourself by gathering those experiences. So that is also very important. Then be true to your own personality. Have a personal brand. Have your own values and belief, rather than just acting on the pressure and just pushed up and down by anything that comes. Then don't follow the crowd or the crab mentality. I hope everybody has heard one way or the other about crab mentality. There's a situation whereby you put crabs in a basket or in a container or whatever, And whoever put it there will not bother to cover it, because they know that they are the enemies of themselves. They will pull each other down. So as one is trying to go out of the basket, the other one will drag it down. They will be on that exercise till they are ready for cooking. Yes. So crowd mentality is crabby. Don't do it. You deserve that unique touch for your career. Then the last thing, which is also very important, is health and wellness. A lot of the time, we don't pay attention to our health. Listen to your body. Take your health seriously. Work out, exercise, move your body. You are not a tree. It's only a tree that stands in a place. In fact, even sometimes the branches and the leaves, they manage to move. So as much as possible, move your body, and it doesn't also have to be anything expensive. Your gym registration, you're in your street, you're in an environment, just work out, move your body is very important. And it also helps your mental health. And your mental health too is something you need to guard jealously. So you have to be very intentional about what you see, what you listen to, what you think and brood about. That is also very important. Then read books. Read books, read widely. Olayinka has mentioned that the only gift she gives to people here, home and abroad, because I say here, don't think outside of here she will give something alternative, is books. So read. Read about whatever gaps that you have identified. Read secular things. Read about the economy. Just read widely, and it will help. And there are also very cheap, bits and pieces of things that you can do. Go online, especially if you're also somebody that doesn't drive. You can read physical books. I like to read and highlight and what. If you don't drive or you're joining public transport, you can do all of that. And if you're also driving, you can listen to books, audio books. And I also have many apps that would also summarize books, and you just get the cheap learning from it. Then eat right and listen to your body. That's very important. Sometimes you just say, somebody's slumped, and he was not sick. Oh, he was sick. He was sick. He wasn't listening to his body. So let's pay attention to ourselves. Let's pay attention to our health. Let's pay attention to the things that matter. So I will just quickly go to the pitfalls. So for the pitfalls, let's avoid lack of visibility. Olayinka has mentioned that. Then let's not stay in our comfort zone. Growth doesn't happen there. As a matter of fact, the very moment you are feeling comfortable, you should know that there's a time to have a redress of that position. Then pay attention to details, pay attention to what matters. A lot of the time you also get feedback from work. Let's not personalize it. Let's take the lesson. Doesn't necessarily mean that sometimes those feedbacks are not personal. We know situations like that also occur, but don't take things personally. So as I conclude, I think I will just leave with this liner to say that you continue to be the chief driver of your career. Where are you driving to? Where is it going? You alone can answer that question. Enjoy the rest of the day.